Welcome to Business Class, a podcast for people wanting to upgrade their thinking, upgrade their learning, and upgrade their life. I'm your host, Eugenia Papazaharias, founder of Business Class Collective, best-selling author, and life coach. If you're an entrepreneur, a startup, or someone who dreams of reaching their full potential, then you're in the right place. You'll feel empowered and inspired to design the life you've always wanted. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm absolutely thrilled to have Vicki from Addictions Luxe Handcrafted Chocolates join me on the show today. So let's get started. Vicki, tell me a little bit about yourself.
First of all, with my surname Papazaharias, I have my heritage is Greek, and obviously, I'm a big lover of chocolate, but I have a bit more to that. Like I have a very big science background, and I guess from that, I've fallen in love with chocolate many moons ago. I was only a little girl, and then got into the science with uni and everything else. But I feel like there's a connection between the two. What else can I tell you? I was born in a country town, Renmark, in the Riverland, and I grew up there, which I'm absolutely so grateful for having a country upbringing, and then obviously moved to Adelaide for high school and then university. Being in Adelaide, there was a moment where I did live in Melbourne for about 6 or 7 years, and that was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I have good friends there. I've made some amazing new connections there too, which we are still, we've now become almost like family, and I've become godmother to a couple of children. Life throws you some curveballs, and certainly there was a big moment in my life which was quite tough, and then life brought me back to Adelaide, and I absolutely never looked back. I never thought I would move back, and I'm in love with Adelaide now, and it's changed a lot. And we are very spoiled here for food, wine, beach, and people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We really are. Adelaide's a beautiful city, and we have the best of everything. What inspired you to create your business, and when did you start?
What inspired me? So, this is not like Rome wasn't built in a day. This has taken me a long time. Inspired to do it, I was working at Flinders Medical Centre, and I've always loved chocolates. I was in a lab, but not working with chocolate at all. It was in microbiology. But going back a bit, when I was about 10 or 11, we were in Port Lincoln, and we were invited on an actual Greek cargo ship because we were fishing on the wharf, and someone got to talk Greek with my dad, and they invited us on there for an afternoon tea. But I was only little, so I was a little bored with all these adults. But then someone handed me this beautiful glossy bag of Greek biscuits and chocolates. And I swear that moment, I was like in awe, and I felt so special because I was handed this little beautiful glossy package. So anyway, going forward again, I started just playing with chocolates. I was just making truffles. From there, I started bringing them into work, and then I got asked to make them because of certain staff, colleagues had parties, and like, can you make me some of those truffles? Then I started selling them in the florist at Flinders, and I had the name, I had sorted it out all from back then. So we're talking a very long time ago. From then, I think I had the idea of one day I want my own chocolate business.
Well, we never know where inspiration comes from.
No, that's
amazing.
True.
Amazing. That one moment that transformed your life.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And you were seen, and you were...
So true. I must have... you're right, and you've reminded me of that you don't know what it was, but yes, you were noticed, seen, and it really impacted me as a little girl. Yeah.
Oh, so special, Vicki. So tell me a little bit about your chocolate. I understand it's fair trade, traceable. Yes. What does that mean?
Source the chocolate it's a French company, Cocoa Barry. They're wonderful, and they're a French company, but they do source their cocoa beans from around the world. They assure us that the beans are traceable. They're from sustainable farming, so that's really important to me. Because and it's hard to put it in words, but there is a sort of a dark side to the cocoa industry. They're very, very forward in supporting farmers in other countries to make sure that they're making profit and people aren't getting, there's not like child labour. That's why I like using their chocolate. So that's one part of the business. And I guess for me, the big thing is that it's I produce everything, it's handcrafted. The whole idea is it has to be luxury, handcrafted. Every little piece is produced in a small batch method, so that way every little piece is of the finest quality. There's no added artificial flavours, so there's really simple ingredients. And so and that's, for me, it's a handcrafted luxury chocolate, and that's how I want it to be. And I really want people to have a moment of indulgence, and that's just our vision. And it's all about, in good times and in bad, I think chocolates can be gifted at all parts of life. It's just not just happy moments, but it's also to make people feel good as well if they're going through something, and amazing for great celebrations as well.
I remember reading something years ago that said, it doesn't matter what the question is, but the answer is always chocolate.
There you go. And it's true. It's true.
I'm really impressed that it's ethically sourced and there's that social responsibility in your products, because that really sets you apart in the industry. And you're a small producer, but you've got a big idea and big dreams and a huge commitment to your business and doing it the right way.
I do.
It's commendable, absolutely commendable.
Thank you.
So you make tablets and drinking chocolate and bonbons.
I do.
Talk to me about the drinking chocolate.
Okay, so the drinking chocolate, which I really love, I actually use a really beautiful Italian cocoa that I source, and really simply, it's slightly sweetened with organic coconut sugar. Yeah, so really simple. So it's just really luxurious. It's actually not sweet at all. There's a very, very slight sweetness, but you can sweeten it up with honey or stevia or whatever you like. It feels beautiful. It's really luxurious. It's actually quite healthy as well. So it's all of that. And simple ingredients. It doesn't have to be filled with artificial fillers. And that's a big thing about my products.
So, Vicki, tell me, chocolate has certain elements or benefits to it. So I can hear that it can make you happy, it can make your brain work better. I think it might have certain trace minerals, like maybe magnesium.
It does.
Am I right? Yes.
You are. Mm-hmm. So again, and I think this is where my science world and chocolate world collide. So in particularly, obviously, dark chocolate. 100% it's been shown in clinical trials that by eating a bit of dark chocolate every day, it actually increases the release of serotonin, which is our happy hormone. So it does feel good, and it can be addictive, and that's why, but it's a good addiction. And I must slip in there that addicted to chocolate is where my brand name comes from, Addictions. So I guess we forgot to mention that earlier. But also there's so much evidence that shows dark chocolate is good for the heart. There's antioxidants. They say that it's more than blueberries and stuff like that. There's a high content of antioxidants and a lot of other minerals and vitamins in there. So magnesium, also... there's lots of properties to dark chocolate, and people laugh, you always say it's good for you, but it is, and in moderation, of course, and dark chocolate, obviously, because milk chocolate obviously is filled a little bit more with a lot more sugar, and cream and milk. So dark chocolate for me is, I definitely do have a passion for dark chocolate. So
how do you stay motivated, Vicki? Do you have any tips or tricks that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, I think attitude is everything. And, and it's a conscious practice to have a good and positive attitude all the time or most of the time. Obviously, we're not perfect and things can get us down. But I think obviously during those times, it's about how you face the issue and your response to those things is a big part. I never thought I'd say this. I mean, I did grow up in the Riverland and I grew up doing sport. So from little athletics from very young age for years and years until I was about, 15 and But exercise, as I've gotten older, I think exercise, I do really think it's a huge mental benefit. Obviously, the perks are feeling better and fitter and maybe looking a bit better, I think the mental impact that exercise has, I think, helps me stay motivated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good for your mindset, for your
Yeah.
physical being. You kind of expend energy
You do.
at different rates that help you with other energies.
Yes, and it helps you release certain hormone like the serotonin and all of that, and get rid of some stress energy. And you don't have to run a marathon. I'm not interested in running any marathons. It can be as simple as a walk. It doesn't have to be, but you've got to move, and I think moving the body is really important.
I like to practice my walking, but I also like to practice being in nature. And when you're in nature, it kind of clears the head. It resets your mindset. You're immersed in nature, so that kind of helps. I can understand.
I agree.
Staying motivated comes in many forms.
Yes, and I could be super busy on some days, and I actually have to drop the tools, and I actually go to the beach to walk. So for that alone, I think I just need to go. And for an hour and then get back into it. And you feel better.
And it's so good that you recognise that calling, because some people will ignore it and work through, but you acknowledge it, act on it, and then come back refreshed.
Yeah.
So I'm certain you've had some highs and some challenges. Can you share one of your greatest challenges that you faced when you started your business?
Where do we start? Well, I think when it comes to business, it's like, I guess the biggest challenge to me, even back in the day when I sort of loved the idea of maybe working with chocolate one day, is where do you start? I think you question this every day, because I think you just have to start without having some of the knowledge. And I think that forces you then, once you've started, you've gone, shivers, I've got to find the solution now. How am I going to get to a certain point? But I think the biggest challenge is there's always things we don't know about business, particularly, but if you don't, it doesn't mean you can't start something you love. So I think the challenge is, what do you do next? How do you start something? How do you find out about, I don't know, marketing or accounting or sourcing another product? It's where do you start? And I think I question that, with different things daily.
What have been your most memorable highs?
So, I think there's lots of small wins, and I think daily there's lots of things to be grateful for in your business and what you're doing and everything, even fulfilling orders and all that kind of stuff, right? I think a few years ago, someone goes, you should put your products into the Sydney Royal Fine Food Show. And I'm like, really? So I did, and I sent in a few products, and I was really amazed, because the beautiful chocolate bonbons I made, a box of 12, it received a bronze award. So it was awarded bronze. So I was over the moon. That was quite a good high. And it also shows you that you're like, okay, it is a good product, and I'm possibly on the right path.
Congratulations, Vicki. That's wonderful. So lovely to be recognised.
Yeah, it was really nice. And you're like, okay, wow. And it is really nice. And I think it's, you've got to believe in yourself that you are on the right path, but sort of achieving or receiving some of those awards is nice. Yeah.
It's like a lovely exclamation mark.
Yeah, thank you. It is.
Who's your biggest inspiration?
I think family, supporters, so people, close around you that really support you in what you're doing. I think sometimes it has to be yourself as well. You have to be your biggest inspiration. And I think too, and then obviously inspiration, which, we touched on earlier, I think there's inspiration in every day, and really sort of, you're not searching for them, but if you have an open mind, there's moments in the day that actually inspire you. Inspiration for me in my business as well is years ago spending a few days in Paris, and my whole goal there was to literally walk the hours every day, fall into every chocolate shop, every patisserie shop, and try a lot of things, packaging, everything. And that was a really big inspirational point too for me.
Oh, what a wonderful research trip.
It was. I walked a lot. It was good. So, yeah, it was good. It was really lovely. And I also did half a day macaron making school at a Paris cooking school. It was beautiful, and I hadn't been to Paris before. And again, clearly, not hard, I was blown away by the beautiful city.
It is a beautiful city.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have beautiful sweets and chocolates.
They do.
And pastries.
And it's how they do it. There's so much passion that goes into their work, and you can really see it, feel it, and sense it. Yeah, they're pretty good with their food. They're good.
So do you have someone in your business life that made all the difference? Or in your life, actually?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. You know, business life, obviously, I think I mentioned the word, but I do work part-time as well in a science setting, and it's a corporate world as well. So I guess that has helped. I think you think, oh, what am I doing? But I think everything you do in life, you transfer skills. So I think that's definitely helped. And then I think, you know, like you don't realise, but I've got some really a couple of amazing friends that have, you know, had a passion from years ago, started from scratch, and have built some amazing business, you know, for themselves, a small business, and been very successful. So I feel, you know, they're particularly an inspiration to me as well.
Wow, okay, that's lovely. It's amazing what you can learn from others and be inspired by their journey to have the self-belief to just start.
Yeah, just to start.
Just to start.
Not knowing, but just start. Yeah.
Fantastic. Is there a particular book that helped you think or affect your mindset or...
Yeah. I've always been intrigued, and I think because also with my part-time work, it's actually in neuroscience, so neurology, and I sell a product that's for advancing Parkinson's disease. So I do love the science. I love neuroscience, but I'm not sure if you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I've read one of his books. And I feel how he explains how the mind works is very inspirational, and obviously I'm a big believer of how it's up to us to fix our mindset. It's not external, it's internal. So he's amazing, and obviously I love books, but I find it difficult to finish a book because of time poor and everything. But obviously with social, there's so much you can find clips on him as well and listen to, and his meditation sessions like you can find on YouTube are quite amazing as well.
When did you realise you were successful, Vicki? Like, what are the benchmarks to success? You know, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And we talked about success being incremental. It's every day you'll experience success. But how do you know that you're on the right track?
Yeah. Yeah, we touched on it earlier, didn't we? I think success is what we think of the word, and it's not about winning a trophy in the end or a race. It's not a race. But when do I think, look, I try to measure that every day you're achieving if you set some goals during the day or for the week or for the month and you've reached most of them, don't be hard on yourself if you don't. I think that's, you know you're being successful, or you are on the right path. I think too it's hard, like we said, it's hard, we're hard on ourselves, like, I never thought of myself as being successful. So I just try and measure it in small pieces and not particularly big milestones. Successful is also being, you've reached a certain goal, but then there's the next goal. So it's like even daily, like you've got to make the next day better than the one before and all of that type of thing. So I think successful is achieving steps along the way and keep going.
Yep, keeping the momentum going.
Yeah, exactly.
Showing up and backing yourself.
Yeah. And you do, it's not external, you have to back yourself.
Vicki, do you create chocolate for companies or corporates, or who are your clients?
I've had some
without naming clients, but yeah.
In the last 6 months, I have over the part, and obviously we've had COVID as well. So yes, I had a corporate. I was offering or supplying a business in the city, which is really a beautiful. It's a sort of an Australian national business, but just in Adelaide, was providing a business with speaker gifts, constant no in my chocolates, which was lovely. And then obviously COVID, like that changed, and all meetings and big gatherings were off. In the last 6 to 12 months, yes, there's been, like a couple of really nice hotels in the city, and being able to supply them with our luxury chocolates has been really nice. It's been amazing connection to have, and really fun and lovely, and getting feedback from people that might have stayed at one of the establishments and all of that. That's just been, we saw your chocolates, and I'm like, oh, did you? So that's nice. And corporate wise, that's probably the main thing. And starting to establish some connections with some wineries is really nice. The opportunities come to you. You've just got to explore it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because I remember I travelled to a winery, and we had a wine tasting, and we had a selection of chocolates that were matched with the wines.
Nice.
And so that was a lovely experience.
Yeah.
I can see that would be a wonderful next step for you. And your exquisite chocolates, can I say?
Thank you. Delightful. Yeah. Something else I have to touch on is a new adventure is and a totally amazing, inspirational woman is Valerie from the Smelly Cheese Co. at the markets. But we've actually joint venture where we've done some masterclasses at all the good food wine shows around the country, where we're pairing specific chocolates with specific cheeses. And it's a thing. I know people put chocolate on a cheese platter and that, but this is specific flavours with a specific type of cheese. And we're doing these masterclasses, and they've been a huge hit. And people are like, I never thought this chocolate would go with this cheese. And it really stretches the mind again, from a sensory way and taste bud ways, to really stretch the brain about what we can do even with food.
Yes, and tantalise the taste buds by the sounds
of it. It does. It really is. It's been really fun.
How do you celebrate your wins?
Again, I think it's an internal thing where you super. I guess you give yourself a high five on the inside, but it's always nice, I guess, to share certain milestones or goals that you've reached, or an award. It's nice to share it, but yeah, I think celebrating it means by, oh my God, that's amazing. What can I do next? Then it's inspirational. It sort of motivates you to sort of go, okay, good. But I think it's internal, sharing your successes with people around you too.
I agree. I enjoy doing that. So when I experience moments that are quite remarkable, and I just can't wait to tell my immediate family and say, oh, wow,
exactly.
That's how I like to celebrate it.
Yeah.
So looking back, is there anything that you could have done sooner in your business?
I think in hindsight, we always probably go, oh, we totally could have done this years ago. I should have done this years ago. But, there's life in between, and, we're good times and bad. But I think, look, for me, it's a real personal thing. I think even in life, I've never wanted to force something to happen or race against time. So I think I've always, could have done things sooner, but I also have that notion of, you can get bogged down by thinking that I should be doing. So I really sort of try and trust the flow of time, and not let time be your enemy. So yeah, I really don't want to race against time, and it is what it is. So I feel like, yes, could have done something sooner, but happy with the way things are evolving. And yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it is a slow burn. I think, people might see what they see on socials and stuff, but behind the scenes, it's a hard slog, slow burn journey.
And you've got to trust in the timing of your life.
Yeah, I agree.
For the preparedness, the opportunities, and stepping into that role.
Yeah.
You've just got to trust.
Yeah,
it's meant to happen when it did.
Yeah, I agree, and not force things.
Yeah. So what is your advice to other entrepreneurs?
It's a roller coaster ride. It really is a roller coaster ride. Yeah, hold on tight. Every single day is different. So there's no 2 days the same. And quite often you find yourself, and you may have heard this before, but you stop and ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? and you. So it is there's a battle. It is a battle, but at the same time, I think those small wins and successes are what we love and get a high from. And I think it's really important that you'll get hit with some challenges in business and stuff like that. It's always, you've got to try and remain centered, and always believe that it always works out in the end. So if you know, you get your path, you're like, oh, I've been told to turn left suddenly, just go left and it'll work out. So it's things like that. I think it's always just to remain controlled. And I think too, it's important to have a connection with like-minded people as well, who are on a similar journey in all sorts of other businesses. And it's hard work, but it's satisfying.
It's that camaraderie, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you can actually share your journey with someone else and you feel seen and heard, and you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be lonely.
It is. It can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But sharing and learning from others is integral, I think, to building a business. What's the best piece of advice you've received?
Do you know, I think it's like, I think I mentioned it just now a few minutes ago, but I think advice, it always works out in the end. Always. No matter what. No matter what.
Fantastic. Run us through a typical day.
Okay, so I do work part-time. So on those days, obviously, I'm committed to my job, and then typical days dealing with that, and then there's nighttime. So nighttime kicks in, or after work kicks in, and I step into my studio, and so I'm getting, creating chocolates. And then Fridays are quite a busy day for me, creating chocolates and obviously fulfilling orders and doing all the background work. And, I guess in a day it's more of a week, but I'm constantly doing something and creating something. And then there's the background of, administration and all that for the business as well, marketing, and trying to grow, okay, I must improve my website. So you've got that going on. So you've got all these pots burning on the stove, and I think that's a typical day. It's pretty busy. It's really busy.
I think you're the person for the job, though.
I got the job. Hey.
Yay. So I would like to run through some questions.
Sure.
I like to do this with my guests. It's some questions to let our listeners know more about you, the person. So let's start.
Okay, let's go for it.
All right. What makes you smile?
So many things, but the sunshine.
How did you start your day today?
Breathing, and I follow a little 8-minute meditation thing that I do to start the day.
What's your favourite cuisine?
Many. I love food. I absolutely love food.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be?
This very minute, it would have to be Greece.
Do you prefer to text or call?
I like both.
Okay. Do you play an instrument or do you sing?
No.
What's your happy place?
The beach.
What's your favourite city and why?
I do love Melbourne, Athens and Paris. They're all very different. Melbourne, obviously, close to, we're not far from there. Probably the closest resemblance to a European city.
Do you prefer white wine, red wine or champagne?
Red wine.
What's your secret pleasure?
Quiet time, when I can find it. It quite often is the beach.
What's your biggest strength?
I like to listen, to understand, and big believer of always just being kind.
If you're a hashtag, what would it be?
Chocolate lover.
I love that. Do you have an exercise routine, and what is it?
I do. I try and do Pilates a few times a week, and walking where I can.
Gold or silver?
Gold.
What's your favourite meal?
All of them, but dinner.
You're a food lover.
I am a food lover.
What's your favourite time of the day?
I love the afternoon time that's leading into the evening. Yeah.
What inspires you?
It would have to be driven, positive, motivated people.
What was the best holiday you've ever had?
I've loved all my holidays, but no doubt trips to Europe. Yeah.
Sweet or savoury?
Definitely savoury.
Aha, that's a surprise.
It is. I know, and that's why I have a very strong passion for dark chocolate. And you'll see some of my flavourings are have savoury notes like pink peppercorn or sea salt and lime. But yes, there's definitely lots of sweet things as well. I know lots of people love milk chocolate and all that, but I definitely give me savoury any day.
Yep, that's wonderful. Thank you for joining me today, Vicki. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure too, connecting today.
I hope you've enjoyed this interview with Vicki from Addiction Chocolates. Until next time. You've been listening to Business Class presented by Eugenia Papazaharias, founder of Business Class Collective. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcast, subscribe, rate and review this podcast. Share the love and let your family and friends know too. You can follow Business Class Collective on Instagram and Facebook. Join me next time.